Mitch Miller here, Masonic Storyteller, Anarchist Atheist, down here at Toolbod Platz, location I scouted yesterday. Still haven't heard from Secretary of State John Kerry, so not even a courtesy call. So I'm going to keep telling my stories, right? But for all of the European people, I keep saying stuff about intelligence agencies. They could be fairy tales at this point, who knows. I don't even know if they really exist. But, this is our ship, Mosaic. And you can see there is actually a secondary ship in that Mosaic. So there are two ships passing in the night. But I made another argument for the other Mosaic here. www.plotm.com. My email is mmam30@gmail.com. And for those of you that want my phone number, it is +45 7168 5089. So, I'm attempting not to be disrespectful to Europe by taking on this role of Masonic storyteller, which is I kind of equate it with the minstrels and the court gestures of medieval times, where kings of royalty would have parties and they would invite an entertainer or two, and they would kind of hide veiled comments into music or to jokes and comments as a way for different royalty to kind of poke fun at each other. In that regard, I lay my hat down here in this public square and hope that you'll, again, just buy me a beer and maybe throw me a little dough. Because the efforts of my jibing is towards the kings of the United States, which I think I've accurately described. In the era of Hollywood putting out all this stuff about superheroes and superpowers and comic book stuff and all of that stuff, is it really that horrible? I know I use some crass language, but you could probably pick around some of that during some of these stories for people to believe in a guy walking around Europe pointing out actual artifacts that actually exist, that you could go and visit and see as part of like a fairy tale story. I don't think it's the worst type of storytelling. So behind me you can see I'm here at this bank again. We have our 1902, some kind of crest, and up there you can see the clock and our epic battle between the older man and the younger man coming of age, and is he going to hand the world off to that person, or what's going to happen there? They're separated by the clock. Are they going to hand over the accounts, or are they going to relinquish that? So then we have our bell, which I kind of gave a nod to motorcycle riders. And the reason I want to do that is, I say I'm an anarchist and an atheist, and I am. By anarchist, I mean I believe in direct democracy, where every one human being on the planet gets a vote. Now, that age for that is up to ultimately the powers that be. In Denmark, it could be 16, because that's the age of adulthood here. But after a certain amount of socialization, I believe that every one human being should have a vote on the laws they live under. And I think that's a good concept to have. And to speak to atheism, I was born in Christianity and raised in Christianity. Have I prayed before? Yes. I prayed in solitary confinement. I prayed a lot in mental hospital and in solitary confinement. And were my prayers answered? No, they were not answered. That is not the reason that I chose atheism. I had come to that decision well before that, but when you are in that situation, you tend to turn to that type of thing. So as an atheist, though, I entertain all kinds of funny things and weird things and fantastical things, just like comic book readers and things like that. Am I going to delve into some kind of weird cultish type thing. No, I'm educated and I'm grounded in reality. So no, I'm not going to worship comic book characters, but I do entertain things. So like sometimes when I go out and ride my motorcycle, I've prayed to the motorcycle gods before. So it's just kind of a funny thing that I have. Hey, I hope I make it back okay. So that's our bell up there, and that's my little story about atheism and anarchism, and I think it's an interesting story. I don't know what I was going to tie back around to the ships passing in the night, but I think I kind of touched on another little fairy tale. So sorry, I did want to bring it back around to a collection. Just to speak, in a way, like I'm telling these stories, I think they're interesting. I think I've proven, if you don't think that my art will be worth something someday, I think that you are, I don't know, I really think that someone's going to appreciate this art at some point. And I have photographs that I brought with me to offer to people if they'd like to pay for that, just to have something from me of tangible interest. So again, feel free to call, email. I'm here, I'm in Denmark, and I'm going to keep telling my stories though, because I haven't heard anything. There's our bell.